What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this A Quiet Place 2 breakdown, recap, and ending explained. While I was excited for the return of cinema with Conjuring 3 and Spiral, A Quiet Place is the movie I have been the most hyped for. As an Odeon Limitless card holder, I will watch literally everything, and while the trailer for the first movie looked pretty good, I had no idea I'd be walking into the masterpiece that it was. If you haven't guessed by my previous videos, I love lore and franchise world building, and this was lacking from the original despite it being a great movie. I did hope to see other survivors and how they dealt with the collapse of society, and while we did get this here, the movie hardly stuck in one location, and ever increasingly interesting characters were introduced but were not developed enough to my particularly high standards. Particularly interesting was Cillian Murphy's character, who had a bare bones of a story despite Marcus finding his wife's body, which would have been interesting if this turned out to be a twist that his story did not match up, but this almost confirms what happened when he told the rest of the crew about his experience being a survivor. The island community was a real shock. I was very audibly confused, but highlights the complacency of humans at the slight chance of comfort in a crisis. Hey, second wave, anyone? Now, the movie opens with a prequel scene, which was largely shown in the trailers, which showed the aliens land on Earth during a baseball game, which was a pretty powerful scene to see. We also saw the pharmacy Lee would raid many times post day one, and even the fateful toy that would sadly lead to his youngest child's death, which was absolutely harrowing to see in the first movie. I love the subtle introduction of Cillian Murphy's Emmett, and as everyone was running for safety, we get a brief mention of a military base which is near where this town is. It's evident these aliens are parasites, as explained by Mr. Krasinski, so I wonder if they were sent ahead of other aliens, sort of like those bloodthirsty aliens Thanos sends to Wakanda in Infinity War. The world collapse was pretty darned quick, but we would learn from the man on the island later in the movie the aliens cannot swim, which people noticed, and the authorities started to load people up with boats, but only 2 escaped as people could not control their screaming. This hints at further communities being out there. However, the movie picks up post-prequel directly where the first movie left off. Evelyn and co prepare to lead the fight back, except the first movie ended with a cocked shotgun and aliens advancing. However, they have the weapon of Reagan's hearing aid reverb, and the first hinted that the fight starts now. However, these aliens are not there in the sequel, and the family simply head out to find a brand new home. I really love the symbolism of Evelyn stepping beyond the sand as they unwittingly come across the traps of their former friend Emmett, leading Marcus to get trapped in a bear trap in a very tense scene, except they do use the hearing aid to take out the alien, which instantly leads the isolationist Emmett to, actually want to get them and help them. It's evident this sound is not the great equalizer we expected after the first movie, as the shotgun sound lures more aliens, but Emmett intervenes and takes them to his cool little base. I love how the little bunker Emmett has is soundproof and is just a steel pod, but he can only stay in there for a little bit and puts a towel on the latch to stop it locking. Now, Evelyn realizes that he is the person they were friends with pre-disaster, and does remind me of people meeting up post-pandemic. Now, here she questions if he knew the fires and signals were Lee lighting for help, especially when they really desperately needed that. He knew it was him, but he didn't help as he had his own dramas. He was staying at his own house for as long as he could, and his child did sadly die during day one, and his wife perished only a few weeks before this movie started. Now, we will then see her body when Marcus, for some reason, decides to walk around the upstairs section with not only a dodgy leg, but his infant sibling perilously low on oxygen. But Reagan, like her father, was scanning the airwaves for any sign of a signal. They hear the song Beyond the Sea, which is on loop. Now, Emmett says how the valley interferes with the signals, and that's why Lee never heard this song. Reagan works out that the signal actually comes from an island, and the Beyond the Sea was a big hint to where the island community would be found. She wants to head there and rig up her reverb sound to the radio so it can be broadcast and they can use their radio to attack the monsters. Now, she leaves but tells Marcus to keep listening in case he hears her actually manage to do it. However, Evelyn, distraught, begs Emmett to go after her. Luckily, he does as Reagan comes across a train, which was chilling, and we see the long part of the train, and we can only imagine the horrors that took place there. And to be honest, I want to see them. Emmett finds her and pleads with her to go home while Evelyn goes to get more oxygen from the pharmacy. The scene where Emmett was presumed to have just dipped without Reagan was powerful, and we hear things from her perspective as the movie goes silent. However, this effect was nullified as I had a mouth breather behind me, labouring to breathe, shoving popcorn down his gaping maw. Luckily, Emmett returns with news that he found a boat and the pair head off to the seaside community. This was really a great moment, and they head to the seaside town, which did remind me of a video game, and my lazy comparison here is of course The Last of Us, where you are in awe at every new locale you see. This gets complicated, however, when a little girl is actually tricking them and traps Emmett with a sound-producing bottleneck thing, for lack of a better term, and Reagan is to be taken. However, the escape here was really good with the stabbing of their captors and the ensuing alien attack. I really like the idea of people actually using the aliens as a threat to other humans, much like the bottle kind of traps at the start of the movie. I would have really loved more time with his group, as Emmett did say that the people left are really not good people, which confirms why he left the town for the isolated wilderness, as well as the fact that his wife was screaming, which means they need to be a way out. However, they reach the island the signal was coming from to find people laughing and joking and having a bonfire as Evelyn reaches the oxygen and returns, not before leaving her wedding ring at a son's memorial to now honour her husband. We learn how people survived as the aliens cannot swim, but here begins major problems I have with the movie. One, Marcus decides to head out of safety with a bum leg, and two, why didn't Emmett and Reagan head directly to the radio station first? But the ideal life of the island is just too good to be true, which reminded me of the Dharma Initiative base in Lost, and this is short-lived as while the aliens cannot swim, in the previous fight they did jump on a boat which drifted there, and well, just like day one, the collapse is fast and brutal. They escape to the radio station in a car, but the man on the island who seemed with it keeps talking non-stop and is killed. I blame the mania and the shock, I guess, of the attack and the surprise that their relative's safety has been ruined, but it's just, yeah, it just didn't stick that well with me. However, in another tense scene, Emmett and Reagan work around the radio station, which gives tense scenes from Aliens franchise or the best video games that run for their money, as the signal hits and saves Evelyn and Marcus, who were themselves in dire straits as an alien had wrecked the base as she had to use the oxygen tank to attack an alien in another stunning scene, which means they actually have to go out and get another one after this. The fact they cannot talk or make sound forces the movie to come up with inventive ways to take out these monsters. But the day is saved, kind of. We saw at the end of the last movie. But what's next? Well, I hope the humans do live out my expectations for this movie that I had, where they go and take the fight to the aliens. But they can, at the minimum, make a base of operations, and I would love to learn more about the origins of the aliens. Coming across military similar to the modern Planet of the Apes franchise would be pretty cool. Krasinski has hinted that a third movie is planned, and even laid Easter eggs in this movie that the third would connect to. He mentions he may not return to the third one as the franchise grows, and we know that there is a spin-off in the works. I would like to think that the military base was that, and the spin-off will show this. The policeman at the start did mention there were people on the scene of the meteor crash that brought the alien, so I would love to see how that happened. So what did I think of the movie? I absolutely loved it. I really do think not better than the first one, as they're so very, very different. I don't think you can compare them, but I really did love this movie, and the powerful performances in the silence really shows the level of talent of this cast. But that is it for this video. Please do drop a like down below. Please do subscribe with notifications on, and I will be back with another video very soon. Let me know in the comments what you want. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.